Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Motherhood is both amazing and difficult at the same time. The Passport Mommy, Michelle Jerson, is here to share in your journey.
It's amazing. It really is, just watching them grow and see how much change and how much they learn just without the filters around them.
Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Welcome to the show. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. So if you have been homeschooling your children and also trying to balance your workload, you know how challenging it can be and how challenging these times can be right now. But also there's been a lot of positive that I feel has come out of it as well. Today, I have with me Dr. Ryan Loss. He is a licensed psychologist and director of Connecticut Behavioral Health. It is a multifaceted behavioral health practice with locations in Cheshire and Milford, Connecticut. CBH provides outpatient therapy and assessment services for children, adolescents, families, and adults. It provides school-based consultation services for 45 school districts across the state and provides in-home autism services throughout the state. Dr. Ryan Loss, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really happy to have you because I think a lot of parents are kind of getting down on themselves or being really hard on themselves for exactly what they should be doing with their children during this time.
I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of parents feel they need to be a teacher at home, and that's really just not the case. They need to be a parent that supports learning. And it's one of those things, and I do it myself because my wife is a physician assistant, so she goes in and she's an essential personnel, so she has to work. I have the flexibility of being home, and I recognize I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to exactly teach all these different lessons that my son's a first grader, that a first grade teacher would otherwise need to do. So I have to support him through his learning, and I have to do my job as well. And it's a juggle. It's not an easy mix.
Right. And I saw a video that you posted on Facebook the other day where you were out running with your son in the front yard in the morning. And I think it is so important to get your kids moving and to get them outside and to exercise, because I feel like that exercises their brain and just helps them overall mentally as well. They don't have recess. They don't have their after school activities.
No, you're exactly right. It's, whether it be part of their physical education for the day, it's something where movement and being outside is such a key component. And your kid doesn't need to be an athlete to do it. You can do so many different things outside. More importantly, they also need to decompress from their academics. So having those breaks worked into your day is key. The kids get out, they do other things, that takes their mind off of math or language arts or writing. It just allows them to just decompress. It's so helpful, and you're going to get better learning. You're going to get a better attitude from your kids, greater acceptance of what you're asking them to do, because it's a new world we're living in right now.
Right, exactly. So when you talked about just before about supporting your kids and their learning and not trying to be a teacher, what are some examples you can give of that?
I think it's providing a sense of structure for them and helping them understand the benefit of structure. So that's kind of just guiding and supporting and asking them what they know to do. Some of the stuff that they learn, we're not taught. So I had to ask my son, what these letters meant with doing math. I said, what does SPRQ mean? And he's able to explain that to me. I have no idea, but his teacher's telling him he needs to do that. So I think it's helping them understand that they know a lot more than we do about some of the stuff that they're doing. So if we can just be there to support and just generally guide them, I think that's going to go a long way. Sometimes, we'll need to get in there and teach them stuff. We'll talk through stuff with them. But I think the important thing as a parent is to not overteach, because you're not a teacher, you're a parent. So your kids are naturally going to put up more resistance to you trying to teach them than they would a teacher. So you have to walk that fine line between being a parent and supporting their education and trying to provide some guidance and not over teaching, because that's where some battles can come into play.
Yeah. And I think that's great advice. And that's really comforting, because I have a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. And I have to say that even though I excelled in school, my biggest fear is doing homework with my children, because ask me if I remember anything when it comes to algebra or chemistry or anything.
Oh, you're so right. I mean, we're doing language arts and phonics and vowel sounds and all this other stuff. And, he's talking about rule breakers. And I don't know what a rule breaker vowel, combination is, but I'm learning.
Right.
So he's teaching me some of that stuff. And, granted, we all have the benefit of the internet nowadays where we can look up stuff, to try and help ourselves out. But again, I think it's something where, you got to have balance. We've got to balance our own lives and our own work schedule with what our kids are doing. And, thankfully in many school districts, they've given you a guide, to at least steer you along the path of what to do with your kids. Some lessons are there. You just have to kind of make sure that your kid does them. And, if they have frustrations, help coach them through it. It gives you a great opportunity to teach them calming skills because one, your kids are going to see you work and many people's jobs are frustrating and challenging. So they need to see you dealing with and coping with frustrations and challenges. So, and transferring that over to them when they're getting frustrated with math or writing or reading, whatever it is that they might be doing. So it's a great modeling, component to life too.
Yeah, excellent point. And when you were talking before about combining the schoolwork with movement and getting out and being physical, what would you say is a good, how many hours a day should one be devoting to their schoolwork? Because I don't think they really need to be doing their, 6 or 7 hour day doing schoolwork.
I certainly don't think so either. I agree with you 110%. So my little guy, he's an early riser. So we typically in this household, at least on the daddy end of things, we don't sleep beyond 5 a.m. most mornings, maybe 5:30 at the latest. Yeah, he's up and going. So we kind of get started early, and I go at his pace. So usually most things he gets done, kind of subject by subject, within a half hour. They're really, at least at his level, they're not doing too much beyond that. And some of my individual clients, when I talk to them, they're high school age, and I'm asking them, how long are you spending on your schooling? They're getting through their stuff. It's a lot of self-guided stuff. Not too many school districts are doing video-based learning where it's live for a lot of privacy-based issues. So they're talking about 3.5 hours. And I think it does allow a little bit more of that, flexibility with time because they're leading it and they're guiding themselves through the learning process as opposed to that additional instructional component that does take up a decent amount of time. And then you have class to class transitions that take up time. So yeah, I think, for my guy, we're usually done around noon each day. Granted, he starts early, but it's not 100% academics from, let's say, 7 a.m. to noon, which is, a good 5 hour time. So he's probably devoted to academics. I would say probably in that 3-ish hour range where most activities will take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes for him to get through. But yeah, I mean, I think, it's, like I said, variable, but I think probably you can get a lot of this stuff done so long as you're giving yourself breaks, those mental breaks. I think it's going to take a lot longer if you try and go for 3 hours straight. You're going to get so frustrated. Give those breaks into your day at any level of education for that matter.
Absolutely. So talking about breaks in the day, not only for your children, but I think it's really important for parents as well, because I do have to say personally, my husband's working from home and he says, well, I have to work my regular day. And so I can't give you a break. This is what I have to do as though I were in the office. And now I have my daughter home from daycare, who's usually in daycare, and I don't have an hour to myself all day. And I said to him, you have to give me an hour at least in the morning to work out for my own sanity. And
Most
so
definitely.
How important is that?
It's self-care, right? And it's balance. And self-care is huge. You've got to work in that time for yourself so you are a better parent and you're a better support to your kiddo. And I think it's navigating those pieces. So I get up early in the morning with my kiddo. My wife does the night shift. And the night shift isn't crazy long because he does go to bed early, but I get up early and I get my stuff done with him in terms of, getting him breakfast and getting his day started. And I work in a little bit of exercise. And then when she comes home, we all have some dinner together. If I don't have a client that I'm talking to through video at this point in time. And, and then she settles him down through the nighttime routine. So I get a little bit of decompression time. So she starts her day off a little bit slower. I end my day a little bit slower. So we just kind of find that balance. But that partner support is really important so that you're not neglecting yourself, because then you're going to end up, and I hate to use the term burnt out, you're going to just, be more stressed. and you won't be as effective a support to your kiddo.
Exactly. I agree with you so much. And I've tried to relay that. And I would love, we have 2 minutes left in this segment, but coming up in the next segment, I would love to talk with you just about tips maybe that you can offer to parents who are co-parenting. Both or one have to work full time, and whether even if one person doesn't have to work full time, but they're with the kids all day, morning until night, and then sometimes overnight if your children are waking up in the middle of the night, maybe some tips on how you can talk to your partner about sharing in that time.
Oh, definitely so. I'd be happy to. I think it's such a key area to focus on, parent-to-parent communication, couple communication. This is going to be a stressful time for many a couple. You get a lot more time with your spouse than you're used to getting. So definitely happy to talk more about that come the next segment.
Great. Okay. So just to wrap up this one, tell everyone again, if they are in the Connecticut area, where can they find you in your practice?
We have our website, ctbehavioralhealth.com, and we cover the entire state in terms of our autism-based services. We cover school districts throughout the state as well. Outpatient, Milford and Cheshire, and we're happy to see anybody at any place, at any location that is, that we have, and they're willing, if they're willing to travel, we're happy to see them. Little kids right on through adults.
Terrific. Dr. Ryan Loss, we are going to talk more coming up in a few about how you can strike a balance with your partner during this time of the coronavirus pandemic. I'm Michelle Jerson. More coming up in a few.
Motherhood is a journey. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Welcome back to the show. We're speaking with Dr. Ryan Loss. He is a licensed psychologist and director of Connecticut Behavioral Health. It's a multifaceted behavioral health practice with locations in Cheshire and Milford, Connecticut. Dr. Loss grew up in Connecticut, and he went to Texas A&M, where he obtained his doctoral degree in clinical psychology and completed a predoctoral internship at Franciscan Hospital for Children before returning to Connecticut for his residency at CBH, where he has been for the past 17 years. Dr. Loss, thank you for being here with me today.
Good to be here.
Before the break, we were talking about just how to balance your child's day when it comes to homeschooling versus the importance of exercise and getting out and play. And then we also touched on how important it is to share the time with your partner, to make sure that you each have the time that you need to be on the top of your game as a parent and as a partner. And so tell me, just how important is that for people?
It's critically important. We all have our breaking point, and which means we also have our times that we need to decompress so that we can take care of ourselves. So if we're not striking that balance between being an individual, because we're all individuals, as much as we're married or in a relationship, we're still individuals, and we need that individual time. So it's important to be able to talk about what your individual needs are, not so much demand them from your spouse. And I think, this kind of plays right into how to communicate with your spouse about what your needs are. I think so. The conversation really has to take not a dictatorial, you need to give me this, and I need you to do this, more of a, I would like to talk about, how we can share these parenting responsibilities so I'm feeling good throughout the day. And so you're able to get your job done, but I'm also able to get in what I need to do so I'm effective as a parent and effective as either a husband or a wife in that situation. It allows for a greater level of openness to the communication. Most people will shut down when they feel like they're being talked down to or spoken down to in this demanding way, like you need to give me this, you have to do this. Nobody likes that conversation. But more so opening it up to, let's talk about how we can meet each other's needs here. Here are some of the needs that I have. How can we work that into what you need to do, and tell me what you need so I can figure out how we can make that balance work out effectively.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful, because I think it's easy when somebody is feeling frustrated that their partner's needs are getting met, but theirs are not. And in some cases, the partner feels that their needs might be the most important. Maybe they feel they're the ones working, say, full time. Maybe you are a stay-at-home mom normally, but that doesn't mean that you don't need your breaks.
Exactly. How are we going to balance this out so that, one, I feel like you're respecting that, but you're also taking care of certain things to support this whole family, because that's really what's needed at this time. It's just a new world we're living in.
Exactly. So clearly nobody knows how long this new world is going to go on for. How are you talking to your patients who might be experiencing some anxiety about the new world right now?
Yeah, it's a lot of acceptance. I have a lot of adolescent clients, a lot of them who are transitioning from high school to college. And so in their senior year, they're not able to experience those things that many seniors experience. Their senior prom, their graduation, other significant events, some their final sports season. So a lot of it is reflectivity of it stinks. It definitely stinks. There's nothing that certainly I'm going to say or anybody else I think is going to say that's going to help them feel good about that. It just stinks. And that's the cold hard fact about it. However, what are some things for some of the stuff that you can't necessarily change, but you can try and address at a later time? So for example, if, graduation isn't going to happen in June because maybe schools are still out at that point in time, are you then able to have a graduation party, to really celebrate that graduation in a different way than walking across the stage?
Right.
If you were planning on going to the senior prom, could you have a good fun night out with your girlfriends or your guys or as couples and just have a night out where you get dressed up, you have a nice dinner, all the time or money that you would have spent on prom, you're treating yourselves well in that way. So trying to find some alternative ways to look at something here can be useful in this type of situation. The younger ones, so younger kids it really varies in age from what they understand and how malleable they are. Some of your adolescents are very concrete. I have one adolescent. She's great. She's awesome. She's impacted in a number of different ways by this because she's not going to junior prom. And, that was the biggest thing in her world at this point in time. So for her, it's a matter of, that definitely stinks. Looking towards next year is not a comfort for her that she's going to have a senior prom because that's way too far in advance, which is really the adolescent mindset. They don't look far. They look at the here and now. So there it's a matter of just a lot of reflectivity and what she can do now just to try and get through day to day to keep herself positive. For the little ones, I think it's just focusing on the here and now and what we can take out of each day and to try and, have fun, enjoy, recognize that things are different, but we're going to do the best we can with what we've got. And sometimes, that's really the consistent message that so long as it's pushed and pushed and pushed through, really sits well with them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is wonderful advice. Dr. Ryan Loss, thank you so much for joining me today. And again, people can find you in your practice, Connecticut Behavioral Health. What is the website? One more time.
ctbehavioralhealth.com.
Dr. Ryan Loss, thank you so much again for joining me today. Great advice for everyone.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Motherhood is a journey. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. So if you're like me, you are in the house, you're not really going anywhere. And as we heard from Dr. Loss before, it is important to just do some things outside, keep yourself busy. But you know what? One of the things that I actually really look forward to every day is going outside and looking to my neighbor because they're always sitting on their front porch. They're always just relaxing and they sit there and people walk by and people ride their bikes by and they get to talk and they say hello to everyone. And something that I've seen recently catch on, which I just think is such a wonderful, wonderful project, is a porch photography where a photographer will come by and they will photograph you and your family on your front porch to capture this moment in time. And they do it with a telephoto lens. So the social distancing aspect is not a problem. And I think it's just such a wonderful creative thing to do during this time, or really any time. But what a way to pass the time and to have these memories after we move forward from all of this. So with me today, I have Chris Randall. He is a photographer based in New Haven, Connecticut, and he recently launched Porch Ritz. It's a photo series of over 130 people and families on their porch during this time of social distancing. And I should say it's Porch-Ritz, like the Ritz-Carlton, RITZ. And the goal of the project is to make people just feel more connected and to break the monotony of isolation. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So we met not too long ago, probably right before this whole pandemic. And I was so interested in just meeting you and seeing your other event company, your photography company that you have that you do at events. And you were telling me just what a notorious photographer you are in and around New Haven. And so I'd love to hear about what you do there as well as your current project.
Sure. So I started photography probably about 10 years ago, just because it was something that I always was interested in, but didn't really think I can do. But I got a camera. I was working at the time for a nonprofit, and we needed photography for our website and, donor relations and things like that. So I figured, well, maybe I could take those photos and, I wasn't very good back then, but I YouTubed and Googled a lot of tutorials, and with a lot of many hours of playing around, I actually became, I guess, a pretty decent photographer where I make a living now as a photographer. I also started 8 years ago a photo blog called ilovenewhaven.org, or I Love New Haven, which is a website that celebrates the community through photography. And, we have a pretty popular Facebook page. And, I think I've been really lucky because my photography seems to resonate with many people in the community.
Right. And I think it's great because obviously New Haven is such a vibrant area. It's the home of Yale University, as well as so many restaurants and cultural events and diversity. It's such a great area to showcase. And so tell me about, we'll talk more about New Haven, your New Haven photos and what you've done with that, because I know you have an extensive background when it comes to that. But tell me about this Porch Ritz project that you're doing and how it's helping you and your community.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'd be delighted because, before this, I started the project, I'm trying to think of the date, but I believe it was somewhere in the middle of March. But before that, I guess I was in a rut. I was obsessively reading articles about the coronavirus for hours a day. Maybe like 6 hours a day, as if that would help me. Yeah, no, it was bad. It's like as if that could help me find, I don't know, an answer or meaning or, a solution as to when and how this is going to end. But so it really, I really was incapacitated. Yeah. And I'm an artist. I'm a creative person by nature. And I wasn't doing any of that. I was just, I just felt so overwhelmed and so, hopeless about the situation. But then an idea came to me, it was one of my favorite things to do, particularly when, I feel down, is to go out and take portraits of people, on the New Haven Green or in different neighborhoods. And it always uplifts me. So I knew that I couldn't exactly go walking around face to face with people. And then I had the idea of the porch photo project. And, the second I, made the decision to do the project, I felt 1,000 times better just by deciding I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And since then, I've, it's given me a purpose and something to do, an interaction and a creative outlet. And it's really helped me in tremendous ways.
Which is incredible because like you, I would go about my day with my 2 young kids because I really didn't have a second to breathe. I would wake up in the morning, I would listen to the news, I would hear the latest. And then before I went to sleep, I would read all of the news of the day and all of the articles. And same, I might have a very positive day with my kids because I really had no choice. But then I would go to bed reading everything and then starting to get worried again. And so I think it's wonderful what you're doing because people need interaction. We still need interaction, even if it's from 6 to 15 feet away. So, exactly. So how are you going around? How are people finding you? And what exactly is the process if somebody who's listening to the show right now is somewhat local to the New Haven area?
Sure. So in the beginning, I had, a Google form set up, and I just put out a post on my Facebook page and asked if there would be people interested in participating in the project. And, I got an overwhelming response, and the post itself got shared definitely dozens, if not more than, maybe 100 times. And people just started signing up. That form right now is inactive, but if they were to email me at chris@chrisrandallphotos.com, I'd be definitely happy to set that up.
Great.
I was...
That's...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. You continue.
No, I was just surprised at how much the project resonated with people. I heard from, some people that it was their one reason to get dressed that whole week, or they were, right. And some people really went all out. Some people got on in their Sunday best, and some people had wine goblets, and other people had wacky costumes or made signs, and they really got really into it. I think the arts remind us of our humanity. Right. Particularly in trying times, right? And I think that, it's been very well received.
Yeah, which is terrific. And like you said, I mean, the arts, whether it's music, everybody's posting their dance parties that they're having at home. Yeah. And I think that's so important. And photography too. I mean, just to get out and like you said, give people an excuse to get dressed because I know I haven't gotten out of my workout clothes any day of the week. And which I guess is not very different than usual, but I just, every day it's like, there's really no reason to. And so to give people a reason to actually feel alive again or just to feel high spirited to get together and to, make that a family bonding time where you can have fun. And then, like you said, you have these memories afterwards. So if somebody is not local to the area and they can't contact you, how would you recommend if they want to do something like this? I know I've seen other photographers advertise also, but what would you say if somebody doesn't know a photographer maybe and they just want to get a few shots while they're going through this time? Sure. So I'd say, try and find somebody, maybe somebody that they knows of a photographer doing the project, because they have cropped up everywhere, right? There are photographers doing this nationwide and probably even worldwide. Mm-hmm. I Google, or, maybe they can also reach out to me and I could help try and find somebody closer to them. Okay. Through my networks, right. But there are these projects happening pretty much everywhere now. Yeah, which is incredible. And I think it's great. And it's great, obviously, for the photographers, because I think we're all trying to figure out a way to reinvent ourselves or to keep our business thriving during this time. Absolutely. Yeah. So all of my jobs have, canceled or postponed indefinitely. And I really, on that end of it, I have no idea when, I'm going to make money again. Right. This gives me something I could pursue and, express myself creatively and interact with people and, keep honing my craft. Exactly. I know it's very scary times, and I do hope that, we come out of this quickly as possible. But in the meantime, what are you personally doing to stay sane and happy? Obviously, this is a big part of it. What else are you doing? Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm cooking a lot more. I mean, I love to cook, but I just, how busy I've been before this with my businesses. It was just, I didn't really have the time to do it. Right. Now all I have is time. So I'm getting back into that, and I love it. And, cooking is another creative outlet. I've been going on a lot of walks. There's a really great little nature preserve that's not too far from my house. That's
where
nice.
I go with, it's beautiful. And usually at that place, I don't think maybe one time I've seen somebody else there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really underutilized, but it's gorgeous, and it's right on the Quinnipiac River. And, so I do that. Try and have quality time with our kids or the kids.
Right.
Playing games, and, it's, I think creativity helps. And
right.
I think, everybody is creative, whether or not they realize it, I think. Right. And I think, make something. I have a keyboard. I've been learning more how to play the keyboard.
Wow. I agree with you. I think, like you said, everybody has some creativity in them, whether they realize it or not. I wish I had more time to pick up, because it's funny. On one hand, we have all this time. Yeah. On the other hand, I have a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old. So I'm like, I don't really have any more time.
Right.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I mean, even this morning I went out for a very quick bike ride at 7 a.m. and I heard the birds. And I know it sounds cheesy, but I hear the birds around here. And I used to live in the big city. And now I'm enjoying that. And I'm enjoying the sunshine, and I'm just enjoying the slower pace. And like you, I was always running around and worrying about this, that, and the other thing, business-wise, kids-wise, activities. And now it's, it's kind of like a forced slowdown, which is nice. It makes us realize, you know what, there is more to life and things that we really want to get done.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So what are your plans for the rest of today or the following days? How many porch shoots are you doing?
Today, I'm only doing 2 because the weather is not the best here. Right. It's been raining. But I'm doing 2. I'll probably edit some photos. Last night, the Connecticut Department of Transportation lit up the Pearl Harbor Memorial Bridge in all red to honor healthcare workers fighting on the front lines of COVID-19. And I posted a photo. I went down there last night and I posted a photo, and that photo itself has been shared over 2,000 times. And it was really a very impactful image for me and for everybody. So I might take some more photos of the bridge, depending on the weather and the light, things like that.
That sounds great.
I also, my girlfriend and I are also doing online classes together. So we might, get into that a little bit today.
Mm-hmm. Wow, amazing. Well, you are an inspiration, Chris. I really appreciate you coming on the show with me today. And I'm going to check out your portfolio at Porch Ritz. So tell everybody again exactly where they can go to find it.
My website, so the portraits are on the blog section of my website, which is chrisrandallphotos.com. And they can, check that out, see some of my other work, reach out to me. I have an email there or a contact page if people wanted to get in touch with me that way. I'd love to hear from people.
Thank you so much. Well, stay healthy and stay sane. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Motherhood is a journey. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
So while we are into April, March was National Kidney Awareness Month. And while we got sidetracked a little bit with COVID-19, I did want to bring you this interview that I previously recorded.
The kidney care community is raising awareness about chronic kidney disease so that people can learn the importance of knowing their kidney health. Because did you know that 1 in 7 adults in the U.S. currently has kidney disease, but many are unaware because symptoms are difficult to recognize. So with me today, I have Mandy Hale. She is the Vice President of Nursing with DaVita Kidney Care. She joined DaVita as a patient care technician in 2001, and she has worked for the company for 16 years and currently leads nursing strategy. She is an expert in process improvement and continued quality of care. Hi, Mandy.
Hi.
Let's talk about kidney health. What would you say is the most important thing that we should know, and how many U.S. adults have kidney disease?
30 million adults in the United States have kidney disease. And I would say one of the most important things to know is that kidney disease is actually what we sometimes refer to as a silent disease. So many individuals will actually have kidney disease and not be aware of it until it has progressed quite severely. So that important nugget or piece of information to know is everyone should be familiar with their risk factors and take steps to avoid kidney disease.
Right. And so how can someone learn the health of their kidneys? Because if a lot of times we don't know until it's too late, what can we do?
Well, all of us should be seeing a physician at least annually and follow the instructions of that physician. And for any individuals who have disease or chronic processes, such as high blood pressure or diabetes, they should be particularly specific in following the instructions of their physician. And then, of course, the kind of standard recommendations, such as having a healthy diet, avoiding smoking, exercising regularly, those things are all very important as well in preventing chronic kidney disease.
Right. I feel like we talk about heart disease and cancer as far as eating healthy, but it really does apply to all kinds of disease, including kidney disease. So if somebody has been newly diagnosed, what options do they have?
An individual who's newly diagnosed with chronic kidney disease should ask their primary care physician for a referral or a recommended nephrologist, the specific kidney doctor. So that kidney doctor and nephrologist will be able to identify exactly what stage of kidney disease the individual has and make a specific plan that is unique to that person based on lab values and some other pieces of information to really help slow the progression of the disease.
So now we talked about how to maybe keep yourself healthy and to keep yourself as strong as you can in your immune system, but is there a way to really prevent kidney failure?
There actually can be. Chronic kidney disease is what we refer to as a progressive disease. And so it starts in early stages with lesser damage to the kidney and progresses or worsens up to what's called stage 5 or end-stage renal disease. And that's when dialysis and transplant would become necessary. But along that path, there are things that can be done, such as changes in dietary intake, medications, different things to avoid or start that can slow the progression of kidney disease so it doesn't reach kidney failure.
And that's good to know, because I feel like there are a lot of times that people almost feel helpless and they think, oh, how did this happen? I couldn't have done anything. But in fact, they actually can.
And really the start of that process is seeing that kidney doctor to understand exactly where a person stands as far as kidney disease and what to do, what actions to take right away.
So if somebody is wondering, well, how do I know if I have kidney disease, and what are some symptoms and what are some things that they should look out for?
Well, that's a great question. So there are many different signs of kidney disease, but they're often general. This could be fatigue, nausea, vomiting, maybe some swelling. And so again, anytime you notice these type of things or feel different or generally not well, we should see our physicians to understand more. Again, I can't stress enough the importance of an annual visit because, as I said at the beginning, this can be called a silent disease. So you can so slowly progress with kidney disease that you don't notice even that these symptoms are onsetting. So seeing a physician regularly is very important because there are certain lab values that right away identify that kidney disease could be present, such as a GFR. These are things that physicians will be able to identify right away.
It is something that we should be thinking about along the lines of when we think about our cancer screenings and everything else. So where can listeners go for more information?
Visit DaVita, and that's DAVITA.com. We have a whole bunch of resources there on managing kidney health and where you can learn more to prevent or treat kidney disease.
Mandy Hale, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you for allowing me to spread awareness today.
Absolutely. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. I'll talk to you next week.